Hi all, Hipper here. So like I said a few videos ago, I have found a new interest in the Tier 6 British heavy cruiser, the Surrey. As usual, I'm running an agile build with Tenant, Surely in Baltimore, and the new inspiration here, Tesla instead of Takao. And primarily because she gives me faster turret traverse and ingenious and all the usual rudder and speed perks here. On the ship we have aiming systems, and then of course we have the double rudder set up here that all agile cruisers have. Just load out 3 heels, 3 sonars, and 4 planes. Probably not going to use all 4, but you have them. 12.5 reload, 15 range, and 3300 HE damage and 17% fire chance, meaning that HE is your thing in the ship here. 2.1 rudder, but only 34 knots with an agile speed build here. Not a full speed build, but it's still pretty slow. But this is tier 6, so you are not facing like the really fast tier 7 battleships. Well, usually, but of course you can be unlucky. Like Georgia and the like, that can go somewhere near 40 knots. Surrey goes a leisurely 34 knots, and that means it does take a while to get into position. Like something like compared to, I don't know, I know it's a tier 7, but Atago, for example, goes 42 knots, and it takes a considerable less time to get into a good position. Especially if you shoot before you're in position, like I always do, because that's the thing of agile cruisers. You don't have to wait till you are in a position to put some pressure on the enemy. You can do it as soon as you see them, basically, because you're an agile cruiser, and at the engagement ranges where you usually fire at ships when they're spotted, then you'll be able to easily outmaneuver any return fire, and especially in this case here where I wasn't even spotted. So the reason I always push in like this is because I want to take out the destroyers as quickly as possible, and this really is the best way of doing it, because in the beginning of the battle you have a pretty good idea where the destroyers are, because they are also going to try to cap or at least spot the enemy, which would be me, quite early on in the battle. And if you can catch the destroyers in a crossfire like here, this early on in the battle, you have a massive advantage. So we actually end up taking out this Mars here, and that leaves just 2 enemy destroyers, sorry, to worry about. But over on this flank here, we pretty much won, because, well, no one else of the Reds are actually pushing in, and they left the destroyer to die. In this case here, that's good for me, but obviously when I'm on a team that, you know, leaves the destroyer to fend for itself like this, then yeah, I don't like it. I don't think anyone does. So these guys here aren't even pushing in now, so I am going to use my agile cruiser, my agile Surrey here, which I actually like a lot. It's a really good agile cruiser, because it's both tanky and it's really agile. It's even more agile than Albemarle when it comes to the rudder. So anyway, I'm going to push out here in front of 3 enemies and just pretty much troll them. But obviously what I want to do is shoot my wonderful torpedoes here. I mean, Surrey has great torpedoes, and you should definitely use them. And especially in a situation like this here, where I know I can outturn any salvo these guys here fire at me. They're all very slow reloading, like there's a Spee and 2 battleships, so it's not really an issue. And of course, if I get some torp hits here, that's wonderful. And as you can see, the Tennessee is going only after me, and tier 6 battleships, it's very easy to wiggle your way around their salvos. Like the shelf light time is just so slow that it's well, it's not difficult at all, as you saw, and I'll be doing it a few more times while I'm just trying to well, pretty much annoy this Tennessee here. So he's on fire, and it looks like he's got a flooding as well, so it's just a matter of time. But obviously he's going to get off one last salvo before he dies, because battleships always do that. And as you see, we just fit in between the shells, and that's all it takes. So the rest of the red team have left this cap here, so we're going to move with them, just staying on our side of the map. It's quite rare that actually entering the enemy side of the map turns into something good, except if you're a destroyer, and even then I usually try to not extend more than about the middle of the map, only if there's cover on the other side, and on this map here there obviously isn't. So on north it's usually a better bet just to stay on your half of the map, even if the enemies are fleeing on their side of the map, like in this case here, because you never know, suddenly you could need some cover and then you just don't have any. So Surrey, it's a good ship. It's a really good ship, and like I said, I'm a little bit disappointed that I haven't put more effort into it earlier on. I think I played a few battles and then I thought like, oh, whatever, I'll just wait for the tier 7. And once Albemarle came out, I didn't really touch the tier 6 at all. Well, yeah, at all. I don't think I played a single battle. But then for some reason I picked it up the other day, and it's actually fairly good. It's actually better than fairly good. It's really, really good. It is probably my favorite tier 6 cruiser. Not when it comes to damage output, obviously, then Weimar is way ahead. But when it comes to tech tree ships, I think it's the one I enjoy the most. That also means that this is one of the lower tier cruisers that you are able to turn into an effective agile cruiser without having to research the tier 7 ship. So if you want to try out an agile cruiser but you don't want to invest too much in it, then Surrey is probably your best bet. Research this ship and upgrade it, and then pop Tenant on. And even if you don't have Tenant at a high level, you should still be able to get a feel for how an agile cruiser plays. And of course, if you like it, it can only become better from then, because you can upgrade Tenant and you can add further agile inspirations to him, or not. You can also of course choose not to, but that's not what I do. So it's a good ship to test out if agile cruisers is actually your thing. Because I hear a lot of people asking me how to actually get into agile cruisers if they don't have a tier 7, for example, or if they don't have a very high level agile commander. So this would be my response. It's pretty much, well, get Surrey. It's only a tier 6, and it doesn't take a lot of effort to get, really, and you can get it all in game. There's no need to buy doubloons or anything like that. Tenant is also a standard commander. He's not a premium event commander, so there's really nothing stopping you here. And like I said, you don't have to upgrade Tenant that much. Just make him perhaps level 6, 7, 8, something like that, so you get at least one inspiration, and then just test it out. For example, in AI, where it doesn't really matter that you don't have the greatest commanders at all, and it'll give you a pretty good idea of what an agile cruiser can do, because even with kind of lackluster Tenant, you should be able to hit a rudder speed of around 3.5 seconds. On this one I have 2.1 seconds, which is really, really fast for a tier 6. But just keep in mind, of course, like I said before, that this ship is not going to win any races. If you are chasing down a destroyer, you are likely to lose that race, simply because the destroyers outrun you. Even the slowest Japanese destroyers, they go faster than 34 knots, I assure you that. So if you're going to chase down destroyers, you need to do a minimum of 40 knots, and preferably more than that. And really, a Targo, Jean Martel, Amalfi, although it doesn't have a sonar, they really are the best at chasing down destroyers. Wichita also, to a certain degree. So yeah, I'm a bit disappointed I didn't put more effort into the ship earlier, because it's good. I mean, yeah, the reload is 12 seconds, so it's not the fastest reload, and especially if you compare it to something like Weimar, I mean, you're not gonna have a chance if you are facing a Weimar one-on-one in this ship here, and that's pretty much any tier 6 cruiser. I tried that actually a few battles ago, and although I citadeled the Weimar twice and got a torp hit in, once we were bow to bow, he still won the DPM battle. And honestly, that is just ridiculous. But that's the way it is, and that's what Wargaming thinks is fun, to have a ship like Weimar. So just putting it out there that you're not going to win any sort of damage engagement, especially with the Weimar. But other than that, it's a really good ship. So I'm definitely going to play it a lot more, like I said also in my earlier video. So that was Surrey for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you out there.